All right, folks. Eddie from Totally Wired Guitars here. And today we've got a nice short and sweet one for you. This is one of the modifications that's unfortunately necessary on the Vintera II offsets. They all come with these tiny bridge thimbles that are only about, I believe, 6.8 millimeters as far as the inner bore is concerned, which is just too small to be able to fit a lot of aftermarket bridges. You can see here with this one that the stock bridge already barely has any room here to rock, so you can forget about installing anything like a Mastery or even their Fender American Pro bridges, the same kind that come on the Johnny Marr Jaguar and even the Troy Van Leeuwen one. Some older stay trim models will not fit. So the majority of aftermarket bridges aren't going to fit in here, and people end up being scared and doing things that have been the kind of wisdom that's been shared online for how to remove these bridge thimbles. And I found that the easiest way to do this that doesn't require you to break out a soldering iron, which is not advisable to begin with because it isn't even paint or lacquer that's holding these things in. They literally are hammered in. So, other people will try to use tools to pry these things out. A wiser one to do is using an expansion bolt. And that normally works, but it's hard to find one for this size, I have found. So I'm going to give a shout out to Shelby over at Black Bobbin for showing how to do this method, because it is the easiest method that I have found. And all you need is an extraction drill bit. I got mine in a set like this, and basically what you're going to do is you are going to load up your drill with this, set it to go in reverse, okay? And then you just pop it in and pull up as it's extracting. And as you can see, absolutely zero damage to the finish there, right? Now, one thing that you may find is sometimes the little thimble might get stuck. It came off real easy here. If that does, just get yourself pliers or a vise and set it to go not in reverse, just normal clockwise operation, and the thimble will pop right out. No damage has been done to this thimble, but that's not always the case. So just know that you may end up having to trash the original thimbles, but I do not see any reason why anybody would want to keep these Vintera thimbles to begin with, because they are pretty useless. So we're going to do the other one again. So now I am going in reverse. Okay. And you may need a little bit more torque in your drill. This one is a little more challenging than the other one that we did. Okay, and then I'm just pulling up slowly. And there we go. All right. Now that's only step number one here, because now we're going to have to install new thimbles. And as such, these thimbles, the outer diameter of the thimbles is also smaller than standard thimbles that would go in here. So we are going to have to open these up. So just for reference, getting out the calipers here, if we measure the inner bore of these holes, 8.65 millimeters here, whereas the diameter of standard thimbles is 8.88. 8.86 I'm getting here. So definitely too small. Oh, wait, is it not? Huh. I'm curious, actually, maybe because these are also import thimbles. These are seeming to go in perfectly. Let's try out I do have a set of AVRI thimbles here. These ones have an outer diameter of, oh yeah, 9.43. So AVRI thimbles are definitely not going to go in that case. So the one thing that you are going to want to do, what I typically do with bigger thimbles like this, is to break out my 3/8 inch countersink. Okay, got it right here. And you don't need to worry too much about going off center with this. Just try to do your best to visually, especially if you do not have a drill press. Obviously, if you have a drill press, that is the best way to do this. But because the hole is already pretty much there, it's going to stay pretty centered all the way down. And then all you got to do from there is just follow this all the way down. And I typically will go to the little silver ring at the top here, and that is pretty much the same exact height as a bridge thimble. So yeah, that's really all you got to do to open that up. That's also handy for when you are buying a new aftermarket body, or maybe you got a refin on one of your Jazzmasters or Jaguars. This same method to go in, just line it up, visually check to see that you are kind of as level as possible. Again, if you do not have a drill press, and then just slowly have it be on the, a pretty low torque setting. I would have it either on the lowest or just slightly above that. And then you just go down, you will see that it's very, very effortless to open that up all the way to the bottom, put the drill in reverse, and then just slowly pull up, and that will open that right up. Now, because we're not going to be using AVRI thimbles, and these other import thimbles will work just fine because the inner bore of these is more along the lines of a vintage spec thimble. I'm going to guess that these are probably going to be about 8, an inner diameter of about 8 millimeters or 7.8. Yeah, that is definitely closer. That is definitely closer. 7.82 inner diameter on those. Whereas on AVRI or Mastery thimbles, you have an inner diameter of, yeah, roughly about the same. 7.78. So really, really close. But yeah, thankfully for us, we don't need to open that up. And if you do need to hammer these in some, I basically will just take a screwdriver like this, right? And then I will take my, my rubber mallet or my fretting hammer here, and then just tap it in, okay? And the one thing that you just want to make sure of before you do that is to make sure that you are making contact with the bridge ground that's in there. So we're actually going to have to extract this thing again and just make sure that that is in there. So very simple. And there is, on these Vinteras, the ground does not go through the vibrato route like most. And so I'm going to have to get a flashlight out. Just make sure that that ground is still in there. Yep, and I do see that ground is indeed there. You may actually just pull it out just a tiny bit more, just to make sure that we are making full contact. Yep. Okay. Yeah, you just want to make sure that once you hammer that thing in, that it is making full contact with that. So yeah, so now we are ready to go again, and just tap that thing all the way down. And then just give it a little tap. Easy as that. We're going to check now very quickly just to make sure that we are still getting continuity, and we do. Okay. Perfect. Now you know exactly what you need. I'm going to leave a link down below to this Irwin Hansen extraction bit set that I use. I believe this is less than 20 bucks, so not very much money at all. And now you also have the information and the approach for how to safely and easily remove these things so that you can now upgrade your bridge to whatever make and model you wish. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was helpful to you, especially if you've been wanting to upgrade the bridge on your Vintera or Vintera II, Jazzmaster or Jaguar, but have been afraid to do it, thinking that you are going to end up botching your guitar. Let me know down in the comments what method you all have been using to safely and effectively remove these, and do you have a method that's somehow even easier than the one that I just showed? One more shout out once again to Shelby at Black Bobbin Guitars. He is awesome for sharing the original video that showed me how to do this, because before this I was using that expansion bolt method, and this is way simpler than even that. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, to be notified of new videos as soon as they drop. And don't forget to follow Totally Wired Guitars for more offset guitars modding tips.